Okay, peace and love to the YouTube family. Peace and love to the YouTube family. How are we doing? How are we doing today? This is a much needed conversation that I must have talked about so many times, over and over and over and over. Give me 1 second, family. I want to make sure this camera situation is good. All right. We're about to be back up. All right. We're good. We're good. We're good. All right. So we're not going to be long. I actually have a call with my one of my healing communities. We were actually on the live for the weekly webinar, What Your Eyes May Reveal That Your Lab Work Misses. And we ended early. And I said, you know what? I'm going to tap into the YouTube family, okay, so that we can really discuss this. So come on in here. I'm going to actually drop some links while we're in here. So give me 1 second, family. Peace and love. Let me know that you are here. It is pretty humid, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It is pretty humid. All right. All right. So the first link that I'm dropping, give me 1 second here. All right, back. Scroll. Wait 1 second. 1 second, yeah. Children's peace and love. Thank you for joining in. Give me 1 second. I'm putting this link here. Children's health before school. We're gonna explain that in a minute. All right. Okay. So this is going to stay up on the page. We're about 2 minutes in. I am not going to be too long because, again, I want you to get this information as quick as possible and to make it as short as possible because, the shorter, right, the better, so that more people can watch it and we can get this flowing through the algorithm. So for those of you who are here right now, you are here watching this live, I'm going to need you to use that paper plane, or not paper plane, we're not on Instagram, pardon me. Use the share button and share this live. Also, make sure you comment, make sure you like this video. It's so important. I'm going to start off this live by saying how important it is to have elders around you. How important it is to have elders around you. Now, for those of you who are watching this live, I want you to put in the chat, do you know anyone in your family that is over the age of 70? Do you have anyone in your life that is over the age of 70? I want you to put it in the chat right now. Come on, we're going to have an intimate conversation. This is so important. Okay. So for those of you watching this live, do you have anyone in your life over the age of 70? You're going to know where I'm going with this so that we can, really have this conversation. It's so important because y'all, we have lost our way. And the elders are the ones that are going to help us, be the ones that know and are still doing, right? They're going to help us to, give us that wisdom. Okay. So anyone here watching live right now, know anyone over the age of 70? Okay. Yes. Okay. Epiphany 77777. Yes. Peace and love. Thank you. I love that name. Yes. I have several over 70. Absolutely. Love it. And thank you for commenting. Now, the reason why I asked that question, family, when I got back from Atlanta, I was blessed to be and still around my grandmaster, who's like a father to me every single day. And he is, I don't like to give his age because we don't age, right? We're not supposed to. And if you see him, you wouldn't even know how old or how young he is. So we'll just say he's over 70, right? And he's a grandmaster. He's been a grandmaster over 60 years. And when I tell you, I'm just something small as I'm in the kitchen and I'm using plastic and I know better, right? My mother taught me growing up not to use plastic, and I'm using plastic. And I noticed that he uses absolutely no plastic. Now, Epiphany, does any of the elders you're around, do they use any plastic at all? Right? You'll actually find those in the over 70, in that range, 70 and 80s. You'll find that most of them don't even use plastic. So go ahead and put that in the chat. Go ahead and put that in the chat. I really, we're really going to collect some data here. This is I find this to be so interesting because this is not scientific study. This is like real people, right? We're interfacing with real people every day, and we're like, I'm gathering data from what I'm seeing, from the elders. So if you are around them, do you see them using plastics? Do you see them using these things that we use, like aluminum and all of these new pans and all of this stuff, right? All of the new worldly things. Yes, most of them don't. Epiphany says most of them don't. I know one or two that do, but they are more worldly. There you go, right? So I say all of this to say, right? I'm in the kitchen and I say, Gran, that's what I call him. I call him Gran. Uh, I noticed you don't use no plastic. And he was like, use no plastic. We didn't grow up with plastic. He said he didn't start seeing plastic surface until in the 60s or 70s. And I'm like, wow. Now I'm thinking in that time period, no one knew what plastic was. Yet we all know what this is right now. Plastic, aluminum, all the things that are, what's the topic of this live? Hidden toxins that are destroying your life every day. That's the shift that we missed. That's the title of this live. The shift that we missed. The hidden toxins that are destroying our lives. Right? And so he said he didn't see it until the 60s and 70s. And I'm like, wow. So he's like, he's already accustomed to not using it. Glass, wood, natural resources to cook with, to store your food in, was the norm. That is the norm for most of the elders over the age of 70, since they were children, since they were young adults. What is the norm for us as the modern adult today? Storing things in plastic, storing things in aluminum, right? Using aluminum pots and pans. These are the norm for us. How do we, now the question is like, how do we become and go back into the state of using natural resources as our everyday lives, in our everyday lives, right? So the other day, I only had maybe like one plastic container. I threw it out just like that. I just threw it out. And that was it. I was just done with it. So, what I want you to do right now, this is not complex. This is not like a complex live. Wherever you are right now, right? And you're in your kitchen, I want you to walk in your kitchen right now. If you're watching this live, walk in your kitchen right now and see how many hidden toxins that you call storing your food in, cooking your food in, right? That's in your home that may be disrupting your hormones, right? Your endocrine system. And your endocrine system, ladies, is not just the uterus and ovaries. Men, it's not just the testes, right? It's your pancreas, what we call diabetes, right? It's your adrenals, it's your thyroid. So, all of these that are disrupting that, go in your kitchen right now and take note, take inventory of what's in your kitchen. And I want you to, if you're like ready, like, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to slowly get some glass containers. Throw it out right now. Go ahead, throw it out right now. And if you did that, go ahead and comment in the chat that you did it. If you were already hip to this and you're like, yo, I already know about this, put it in the chat. Yes, all I use is glass. Yes, all I use is non-aluminum pans. I use all natural resources. Nothing is tainting this brain, right? If you already do that, go ahead and put that in the chat. It's so important. So important because I just find it, let me tell you, um, sometimes when we're in a certain age range, we think we know everything. We think we don't need the elders anymore. But I'm going to tell you right here and right now, we need the elders. We need them still here as the wisdom. You know why? Because they lived in a time that none of this was normal. None of this was natural. Absolutely, what we have today is like they're like, what the heck is happening right now? I was actually doing research and found that plastic didn't really become really circulated into the 50s. And then it really started to be used in households in the 60s and 70s. By the 90s and 2000s, it was everywhere. So now we call that normal, but it wasn't normal at a certain point in time. I hope it's not going over your head. I'm being redundant for a reason, okay? And not saying, "Oh yeah, like well, things have to change. We're in a new era. It's 2026. It's not the olden times anymore." Yeah, but let's look at the stats. The olden times didn't have as much cancer rates that we have right now. The olden times didn't have as much Alzheimer rates that we have right now. The olden times didn't have as much menopause. Oh, this is another one. Oh God, y'all know I'll be talking about the menopause, and the way I talk about it may be unorthodox because I ask questions. Do you believe that menopause is real? I've always asked that for like I would say the last 2 years. Really questioning and helping women to understand that this is not something that's a rites of passage. So I'm just pivoting real quick. So I asked my grandmaster, I said, Grand, did the women, because he's a Seminole, right? So he lived on a reservation. I said, did the women talk about menopause? Immediately he was like, no. I like, if you know my grand, that's how he talks. He said, no, no there was no menopause. The women didn't talk about it. There was no menopause. We didn't hear about that. I said, really? He said, we had women in my tribe having children at the age of 50. Wait, what? Now, of course, that's like outlandish to hear right now because you're told by 35 that you're what? At risk pregnancy. Oh, after 35, ladies, did you know? We're old. And when you have a baby after 35, you're considered high risk. So you have to go in for special OBGYNs and your eggs are all like dried up. So we got to watch her. 35? Wow. They were having children at 50 and 60 years old. I remember my mother telling me, and also watching a live from Dr. Phil saying you weren't considered you were considered young in society at age 50. 50 was young in society. And if you looked at the women even then at 50, they look like in their 30s. Yeah. Let me check these comments because this is I'm really having fun connecting with you because this is a conversation we need to have. And the title is The Shift We All Missed, the hidden toxins that's in your home, right? And really the essence of this live is keep your elders close, y'all. The elders over 70 in their 80s, keep them close, especially if they are not like what I like that worldly, right? They remember how life was and is and supposed to be. Someone says, I have thrown out most of peace and love, Gabe. He said glass only. Yes. Epiphany says, I have thrown out most plastic and used glass storage containers, but still use 3 plastic bowls. I don't put anything hot or acidic in them. Yes, that's another thing my mother used to say. Never put hot foods in plastic because the food like melts the plastic and all of the chemicals from the plastic leaks into the food even your water bottles. So if you left like a case of water in your car all day and it's hot, don't even drink that water. My mother used to say that all the time. She's like, the water's no good, just throw it out. It's crazy how the rate of women that I know and that are around me all of a sudden started having their organs removed due to health issues and the increase in fibroids. Yes. See, here's the challenge. In our society, we don't put things into context. We'll see the numbers rising of fibroids, the numbers of reproductive cancers, the rates are rising, and then also the rates of plastics and all of these environmental toxins rising too. I'm going to actually read something from the research that I found from the plastics being introduced, or it was first introduced in the first half of the 20th century, and then really just started to be revved up in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. But they basically saying in the study, to sum it up, that it went from 2 metrics. The plastics went from 2 metrics in 1950 to 380 metrics in 2015. They're also going on to say that it went from a small number of use of the plastics into the millions, right, by 2015. So as we're looking at those numbers increasing with the plastics and the environmental toxins, we're not putting into context, well, can this be related to the rise of cancer, the rise of Alzheimer's, right? We're looking at Alzheimer's and not understanding why this is rising, the Parkinson's, all of these neurological conditions that we're cooking in aluminum, right? Every day we're wrapping our food in aluminum, which aluminum, once it gets into the brain, crosses the blood-brain barrier, then now you're literally destroying brain cells, the neurons, right? Really cutting off the synapses of the cells in the brain. So now we're like, okay, we're not putting things together. It's like everything is separate. So I'm so glad that a lot of you are saying, yeah, like I've thrown the plastic out. I'm not using it. Because these are things that, again, we're using every day. Yet we, at once upon a time, this was normal, right? So just me hearing that from my grand, and even just asking him, like I asked a lot of the elders too. Like I've asked my grandmaster about the menopause. I've asked other elders, and a lot of them say the same thing, that this was not a natural talk in society, preparing young women for menopause. Like it wasn't like, oh yeah, now it is, right? Now it is, but before it wasn't. So we have a crisis on our hands, and sometimes when I'm around people, they'll look at me like, I remember the other day this guy was like, oh you don't hurt me now, because you just so serious, like you the real deal, like ain't nobody like you, and I'm like, it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm on you and you got to do this and you got to do that. I see the urgency. I had a talk with my brother the other day. We're twins. And I'm talking to him and, talking to him about this Juice Plus. And I'm like, listen, like, let's talk to your friends about the Juice Plus. We're in our early, almost mid 30s, pretty much early mid 30s. And I'm like, let's just have a talk with them, right? And you could start something, Tyreek. I'm like, let's start a club for you. You start a club, men getting healthy over 30. Like it's good to be healthy over 30, right? Something like that. And you make it a thing with you and your boys. Like, yeah, you're not vegan, but you taking this Juice Plus, right? I said, because I'm going to tell you something right now. The people that we're seeing today in our 30s, when 20 years down the line hit, most of us are not going to be able to walk with ease, right? We're going to have challenges with mobility, right? We're going to have some type of issues with whatever they call disease in the modern day world. As you've seen my last live, the big gut health crisis, how that's rising in millennials specifically. I just said the other day that a 32-year-old had 5 polyps removed from his colon. which these diseases were only seen in elders. So we have a crisis on our hands, but we don't see the urgency. And that's why I'm here. And I don't believe in the term, oh, I'm ahead of my time. I believe that I'm right on time, bringing people up to the time of what we need to focus on, so that when we reach those points of our lives, we're like, I wish I would have did that. I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. So that is why we're here. And that's why I will always be here to remind you that no matter life ebbs and shifts, and it be ebbing, right? Life be lifing, you have a foundation, like something to keep you, okay, I have to do this. I have to have something where I'm taking something every day to slow down inflammation, right? Get rid of the toxins that are just silently taking me out in my own home, right? So I'm loving that y'all are commenting. I'm loving that. Hold on, let me drink some of this tea. Shout out to y'all. And even, yes, I mean, the organ removals. Yep, that's another thing that is just high, just so super high right now. I mean, gallbladder removals, uterus removals, ovary removals. It's amazing. It's amazing, the numbers. Um, I remember I have so many like stories, but when I was basically, I did a breast, I do it every year, the breast blueprint, which is one of my most requested lives that I do around October, helping women to avoid what is called breast cancer, women that are going through breast cancer, other options that they can take. So I do it around the second or third week of October. I'm going to release that date soon. I did it last year in Atlanta in person. I really enjoyed that. That was an in-person event in Atlanta, right near the Cascade skating rink. And I spoke about how women were having voluntary mastectomies because their grandmother might have had breast cancer, mother had breast cancer, so they automatically assume that they were going to have it too. So by age 35, a lot of women are like, just cut them off because I don't even want to go through that. Somebody from my Flush Your Liver group made a comment, and it's kind of funny, but it really like makes you think, right? He says, well, he this is a guy. He said, I don't know about y'all, but if testicular cancer ran in the men in my family, I'm not going to voluntarily get my testes removed. I'm sorry. It's shout out to Wayne. Wayne is so like, the stuff he be saying, it's like funny, but it's true. You know what I mean? Like men are not going to do that, right? If you had like testicular cancer ran in your family, guys, right? Like, this is for the men. And your grandfather had it, your dad had it, you're not going to knowingly go to the hospital and say, well, take off my testes because I might get this. So it really made me think, like, yeah, so we have to really, like, women, I'm serious, when it comes to this breast cancer or any kind of cancers, to knowingly remove something even before it even happens, because the fear, y'all, like the fear that we're going to get it, right? Where you can absolutely change your genes at any time, any given time, right? So that, I just thought that statement was just, something that it's has a comical side, but it also has a real side. Like, listen, like, it's a difference between, men and women, what women would do because, again, we're more emotional creatures, and what men would do because, again, they're more logical way. And that could be a reason why they don't go to the doctor a lot, right? That could be a reason why they're like, nah, like, most of the times they pain tolerance is higher, so they can be in pain for so long and be like, all right, I'll just hold that off, and then after a while they're like, I can't take it anymore, and then that's when they'll go, right? So it's this is why a lot of my teachings are centered to women because we are emotional creatures. We're the ones that are going to the doctors more. We're the ones that are just believing and being in fear more because of what the system has put out for us to believe. So when we shift our thinking and we no longer believe all of this stuff without actually diving into it first, we shift a whole generation. We shift a whole bloodline because you absolutely control what your family, how they live, right? What they eat, how they, essentially think, the children, the men in your household, you control that, how long they're going to live based upon your cooking, your ingredients, what you bring into the home. So it's so important, ladies, for us to really get on this frequency. Divine Capricorn says, do you do anything regarding fibroids? That's pretty much terrorizing the women in my family, including me. Absolutely. We just had a webinar that we ended early. That's called What Your Eyes May Be Revealing That Your Lab Work Misses. And in that live, I talk about uterine fibroids. I talk about the iris, iridology, how you can see the uterus, the ovaries, the liver, the gut well before uterine fibroids and ovarian cysts are developed in a chronic way. I talked about my 4 systems that if you ignore these systems, whether you get the fibroids removed or whatever you do, or you do a natural remedy, it will remain or return if you don't take care of these 4 systems. And that's your colon, your liver, pancreas, and lymphatic system. Okay. I have a whole program, 90 days, that is focused on women to release specifically reproductive challenges. So if you're interested in working with me, I am going to drop a link. And what that link is going to do, you're going to fill out a quick form on your challenges, and so that I can work with you specifically. Okay. And the program is called the Hormone Root Reset Program. And I can't tell you how many stories that has come from this program. One of my clients, just challenges when it comes to the what is called fibroids and the give me one second, y'all. What is called fibroids and the iron and the blood transfusions, to no longer needing blood transfusions anymore, right? That was amazing to me, right? So I'm going to pin that there, and you can use that link. Make sure you fill out that form so that I have your email, and that's just going to get you in the door of getting your questions answered. You're going to be getting a link to schedule a 15-minute call with me, and then we'll get you onboarded with your iridology and just a program that's personalized for you. Because let me tell you, every case of fibroids is different. Like, this is why I don't go on social media and be like, yeah, like shrink fibroids. Like, you never know who has like really, really large fibroids or how severe it is. So we have to look at every case by case, not standard, take spearmint, take red raspberry, take St. John's bush, like it'll be over with. No, like I have to literally target specifically what your story is. Okay, so that's why that form exists. So fill out the form, and I love to work with you, Divine Capricorn. I'd love to work with you. Absolutely. Does excessive use of plastic destroy testosterone? Yes. The same thing as I talked about with women when it comes to comparing the rise of uterine fibroids and, all of these reproductive issues. Same thing with the men, right? Because again, your testes is part of your endocrine system. So from a period, I'm not specifically sure of the timelines, but testosterone has dramatically decreased over the decades. Someone made a comment and was like, oh, the men back in the 60s in their 30s looked older than the men in the 30s and 40s today. Now, there are a few reasons for that. I mean, they had a different lifestyle. Like, You're talking about a time where it was injustices against melanated people, so you're more stressed. They went through a lot. Life was like different back then. Then also the testosterone was a little bit higher. So there are the argument of, oh, well, men look younger now than they did before. But you have men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who sometimes you don't even know that they are in that age range, not because, oh, you look young, but sometimes it could be because the testosterone could be low. So yeah, I would absolutely say that is definitely synergistic to looking at the plastics and things that we're using. And it's not just the plastics, y'all, like the aluminum, it's the stuff we're putting on our skin. Ladies, the perfumes, right? The deodorants that we're using, the soaps that we're using every day, what we're washing our clothes with. Back then, all they used to wash their clothes with is baking soda and peroxide. That's what my grandmaster used, and maybe a little essential oils to make it smell good. But we think we need and that's another thing. Tide and all of that stuff didn't come out until much later on. They didn't use that stuff in the 60s and the 50s. They didn't use all of that store bought commercialized stuff. That was new with us, and even in the 80s and the 90s and all of that. So it's amazing. Like I said, the shift, that's why I call this live the shift we all missed. We missed it, y'all, because we don't have a lot of our elders around to remind us what life used to look like, what life used to be like without all of this. Okay. So I just wanted to come on here and share that. Like I said, the essence of this live is listen, cherish the elders. I really, really want you to do that. I'm really like thinking and saying, you know what? I'm so grateful to be back in Pennsylvania and be around my grandmaster and see how he lives. And I mean, he's over 70. I won't give his ages again. You can't even guess how young he is because of how he kept his body well. The things that he does in his everyday life, the no aluminum, the no plastic, glass only, just his entire way of living is something that needs to be studied. I always tell him that. And I say this about Dr. Nalani too, right? Dr. Phil Valentine as well, right? All of the elders that, I mean, just, we cannot, y'all, we cannot take them for granted. I mean, they have so much wisdom that we still need. We still need. All right. And just watching them and how they live and how they move and what they speak of and how things were and what's changed. And you see how things have changed drastically health wise. I mean, childhood cancer and obesity and the list goes on. Okay. So you're absolutely welcome. Any comments, any questions at all? For those of you who are interested and you're like, I'm ready to have an iridology consultation. My system is called Advanced Iridology Analysis. I am going to drop the link here so that you can book your appointment. Okay. And don't forget, Wednesdays, we have our children's health. We have our children's health day where that talks about where have our children's health gone, right? Looking at the just all of these different things that our children are going through that only adults went through once upon a time. So last week, we talked about eczema. We talked about skin issues. We talked about giving your child a gentle parasite cleanse, right? And so this week I'm asking you, the people, of what you want me to talk about for your child's health. So matter of fact, drop it in the chat. I'm also going to send an email out so that you all can give me topics so that we can do this and work through this together. Okay. Children's Health days are Wednesdays only. That's actually the only day I see children clients. We have a back to school special for children iridology appointments. Okay. So if you want your child's iris read, especially before school, and you want to know what's going on with your child's health beyond the scope of Western medicine, go ahead and you can book your appointment for your child here. Okay. So tomorrow, Children's Health, I believe we're going to get started around 7 tomorrow, I believe. 6:30 or 7, I'm going to post it tonight. Between tonight and tomorrow morning, because I want to get the topic. Any of you have a topic that you'd like me to touch on when it comes to children's health? Anything at all before we end this live? Also, we have another webinar Thursday titled Why You Keep Starting Over with Your Health. This is more of a subconscious reprogramming and helping you understand that health is really so simple. It really is. Good health is simple. And instead of me just saying that, and some people get angry when they hear that because they're like yelling in their head that it's not as simple as we say it is. I'm going to show you how simple it is with one daily tool that you can do every single day to collapse time. And it's going to shift how you look at health forever. All right. That's Thursday, 8 p.m. on Zoom. All right. So I'd love to see you there. Dropping the link after this live. So make sure you check the description. All right. This has been an amazing conversation. I want to keep it under 40 minutes. We're now at the 36-minute mark. I want to thank you all for your questions. This was more like a coffee chat, right? This was more of let's get back to the basics. This was more of let's keep the elders in the middle, in the heart of our mission, right? Let's keep them in the heart of our mission. Like I get so intrigued of watching how my grandmaster lives. I really do. Yesterday we were doing breath work and I'm looking at him like, oh my gosh, just the skin, the light, the youth. I was at the gym. We both go to the same gym at Retro Fitness. And I'm talking to one of the guys at the gym and he's like, oh, that's your dad? Oh man, he's such a great young man. Look, he automatically said young man. Yeah, everyone knows Grandmaster. You know, his name is Grandmaster Dan McEady, legend. Okay, been teaching over 60 years, y'all. And just so grateful to be in the presence of his presence. Just been absolute fortunate to be in the presence of so many great elders such as Grandmaster Dan McEady, Dr. Phil Valentine, Dr. Nalani. I'm so thankful, right? They pour into me constantly. So again, hug on your elders. Ask them questions too while they're here. Ask them about menopause. Ask them about the plastics and did they know about all of these things? Ask them, did the women have menopause back in the 40s and the 50s? Ask them these things while they're here. And the answers you're going to get is going to shock you. Ask them about, was uterine fibroids natural and normal back then? Ask them about that. Next time we're going to talk about the clothes, right? How we dress. Ladies, how we dress. We're actually going to do a live read from The Wounded Womb by Dr. Phil Valentine. And we're going to really get back to the basics, ladies, because one of the chapters, I'm not going to lie, in the way Dr. Phil Valentine writes, it's just amazing. Where he talked about barely you saw women wearing jeans, wearing tight clothes, right? And so we're going to also talk about in the next couple of lives or even the next live with that, taking care of your hands, your feet, right? Why are we leaving this earth and our feet has aged with us? The other day, I'm at this event on Saturday in Jersey. Shout out to Brother Forrest Nance for inviting me to speak. I had an amazing time. I had all the women stand up, right? I said, ladies, I want you all to stand up. And they stood up. And I said, I want you to repeat after me. Menopause is not a rites of passage for me. And they all repeated it 3 times. And my daughter even stood up and said, menopause is not a rites of passage for me. And I said, that's right, baby girl. That is right. And they all were smiling. Like you can feel like a different energy just shifted in the room. Right. So after the event was over, one of the vendors who also bought some eye drops from me, shout out to Kevin Porter. He's in Jersey. He's doing amazing things out there. He has a garden out there called Rabbit Hole Farms. I believe that's the title of his Instagram. You can check him out. Elder, right? Elder. I don't even know how young he was, but let me tell you, the skin, his iris was so clear. And I just kind of like, he was like giving me the information to his farm. And I looked down, the family, I did. I looked down. And men don't really wear open toe sandals. Y'all be really like, I ain't doing that. I ain't wearing no Jesus sandals. Thinking y'all look cornball like you do. You're not a cornball for wearing sandals, fellas. Okay. So for the fellas on live, and you feel like you were cornball for wearing open toe sandals, please stop. You will be surprised how ladies love to see that. Okay. We love to see pretty man feet, like to see your feet clean and taken care of. Like, ladies, hype the men up and let them know we like to see that. So I looked down, and when I tell you, Elder, he looked like maybe his energy gave 70, the presence gave maybe late 40s. Toenails were like a baby, like a baby. And I said, Mr. Kevin, you take care of yourself so well. He was like, yeah. He said, I've been plant-based for years. I don't even remember how long it's been. I just been doing this is my everyday life. I meditate every day. I do breath work every day. And I was like, hands, the nail. Oh my God. So that's another topic, y'all. How you can keep your feet and hands looking youthful all throughout your life. Okay. And don't get this color twisted. Okay. My nails are natural as far as the color, the pink, the everything. Okay. It's just like even my feet. And my mother always used to say, she used to be like, take care of your feet. And I think one of the reasons why she said that was something that she wished she would have did. And I would even say that to my brother. Like my brother, I'm like, Tariq, I ain't gonna lie, you got some nice man feet. Make sure you keep your feet looking like that. Okay. So I feel like this is not a topic that men have, that men want to have, women want to have. But I know, ladies, if you're married and you want to see your king looking good head to toe, you be like, come on, babe, let's go get a pedicure together. Let's go get our feet cleaned together. So that's the next topic for the next live. You definitely don't want to miss that. And also, if that is a challenge that you have as far as discoloring of the nails, discoloring of feet, we're going to talk about how you can reverse that over time, what it's linked to, and how you can remain youthful for the rest of your life. Okay. Don't forget, tomorrow is Children Wednesday. Wednesdays are for children. I see children clients on Wednesdays only. So if you want to book your child's appointment, get the back to school special. The link is in the chat. Book your child's appointment. If you're ready to book your advanced iridology analysis, the link is in the chat to book your advanced iridology analysis, where you'll get a full comprehensive report. I also receive your lab work so that you can get a full decoding of what your lab work is saying as well. I'm going to read the comments. Someone said that this topic is on point. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Like I said, I wanted to make it like a coffee chat, right? And then again, putting the elders at the heart of this live. Ain't nobody wearing no sandals, woman. Oh my God. Listen, that's what I'm talking about. Y'all still feel like it's corny for y'all. Greetings. Any techniques for treating dental issues like tooth decay and gum health? That's a good live. We're going to talk about that in another live. I'm actually going to drop the link to my daughter's herbal tooth and gum powder. Okay. We created that last year in the story very quickly. My daughter, we went to the dentist. This is a real story, y'all. We went to the dentist and they said that she had a cavity forming and they wanted to put, like, you see the children with the silver caps all throughout their mouth. And they wanted to put that in her mouth. And I said, no, I said in my head, oh, we're going to take care of this. We're going to reverse this. But they're like, oh no, she really, they're very, they will pressure you if you're not aware of self. So what I did was I used the ingredients in the tooth powder that we later created. Right? Myrrh, white oak bark, clove, peppermint, all the things. And we went back for her follow-up appointment and they didn't see the cavity. I kid you not. She had no gum, no candy. She doesn't eat candy anyway, but I was very like making sure she did not have any of that. And the cavity just eventually, just closed itself up. There was no tooth decay in that area. And so I'm like, we're going to create this and make this as a tooth powder. And I said, Bria, that's my daughter's name, and Bria. So we're going to call it, we're going to name it after you because this is your story. So the tooth powder is called Ambria's Herbal Tooth and Gum Powder. And every time someone buys it, I always tell her she gets so happy. So you'll be supporting my daughter directly when you order your Ambria's Herbal Tooth and Gum Powder. It's all natural herbs. You brush your teeth with it every day. The instructions are on the label on how to do that. So thank you for asking that question. That's also going to be another live for another time. But I wanted to post that in the chat as a solution, okay, as one of the solutions. All right. So, yes, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Yes, but I want to thank you all for tapping in on this live. Thank you so much. And I will see you on the next one. Peace and love, y'all.